Welcome to the first lesson in the MO-300 exam preparation for the Microsoft PowerPoint certification. In this lesson, we'll go through how to modify the slide masters along with the handout and note masters. Next, we'll go through how to change the presentation options and views for Microsoft PowerPoint that'll best suit your needs. Next, we'll go through how to adjust the printer's settings and options for the PowerPoint presentation. Next, we will go through how to adjust and present the slideshows. Then we'll go through how to present the presentation for collaborations. And lastly, we'll go through how to insert, modify, and order and group the slides. Now, before we begin, why is this important? This may seem simple, but a good foundation is necessary. It is necessary because many users of Microsoft PowerPoint, whether you are the individual creating the slides or presenting the slides, do not know the full capabilities that Microsoft PowerPoint gives to the users. Understanding how to navigate PowerPoint saves many headaches when it comes to this. Some of the functions do go very much unused. Knowledge is power. As we begin the video portion, it'll be done using screen capture in Microsoft PowerPoint. Now, when it comes to masters, masters are highly underutilized when it comes to the slides, notes, and handouts, as the masters are the templates that all of the slides can be based off of. The importance here is this saves the non-changing elements, especially in the slides. So if you have particular lines, words, or graphics that do not change from slide to slide, you can save it here in the masters to save a tremendous amount of time and less aggravation having to keep adding those items on each individual slide. This can be saved by looking at the view ribbon at the top of the window. When you come over here to view, you have the option here of adjusting the slide masters, handout masters, and note masters. So if you click on slide master, this has the particular list of the items that you're able to change. Here you can insert new slide masters, insert a new layout, rename the current layouts. Eventually, you can change the master layout if you're working on a particular item. You can insert a placeholder if you're not quite sure where it's at. You can add titles and footers. You can change the individual themes, colors, fonts, effects, different background styles, and then you can also change the individual sizes of the slides. And you can actually do this so it changes the size per type. Key thing to note is a lot of these don't necessarily are utilized by every person, but these are the standard types of layouts. So if you have because if you go to hover over them, you can actually see the different types. The top one is primarily the one for the title of the document. The key thing to note here is that this allows you to pay attention to all of the items, and you can also make adjustments as necessary. Then once you're done making these adjustments, you can go ahead to close the master view. Then from here, you can go back into view. You can look at the handout master and the note masters. This is primarily to make small adjustments to how many pages appear on each handout, or to make header and footer adjustments to the notes. Now, when it comes to the options and views with Microsoft PowerPoint, there's a few different things to pay attention. The options in PowerPoint makes adjustments to how the program works with the presentation behind the scenes in the background. In here, we're able to see this under File and Options. In here, there's a few different subsections, but the main ones to focus here is the General, Proofing, Save, Advanced, Custom, and Quick Access. When it comes to the general, these are the general items that you can change for how it displays the PowerPoint presentation on the screen when it comes to the environment. Next, you can personalize the copy of Microsoft Office. The purpose of this that is helpful in this window is for the collaboration function of Microsoft Office that we'll discuss later. In here, you're able to change the name and the initials. So if you make comments on the slide or changes, they're able to quickly identify who it is. When it comes to the proofing, this is where you make the adjustments and how it makes the adjustments for when it comes to checking the spelling of the words that are inside of the slides, notes, and handouts. The save function is where you go to adjust where it saves, how it saves, and how often it saves. The language function is also useful where you can add other languages so it's able to spell check correctly. Ease of access is primarily for those with ADA issues. The advanced function is where you go to make some nitpicky items for the specific settings that you need for the slides. The customized ribbon and quick access toolbars are two that are highly underutilized, but is very useful. When it comes to customizing the ribbon, you're able to make adjustments to the ribbons in this program. This goes also for all Microsoft Office programs. You're capable of adding your own individual ribbon and adding any of the particular options on the previous ribbons to suit the needs for yourself, to make yourself more efficient when utilizing the programs. The quick access toolbar is useful to make adjustments and add particular functions to the very top of the window. Now, when it comes to the different interactive views while working on a presentation, this is the very bottom bar of the window. Here, we're able to see which slides are visible. We're able to see if there's any spelling errors found. Here, we're able to see any ADA issues that exist. And over on the right, we're able to toggle on and off the notes if we have any particular notes for particular slides. Here is the current view of the slides, which is the normal view. Here we have the slide sorter view. So if you just want to see a shorter version of slides, you can drag and drop and change the order of the slides in this view. Here is where you can go into the reading view, where you're able to go through and read the slides on the screen. Pressing escape will cancel out of that view. Then we have the slideshow, where instead of going to the slideshow ribbon up on top to start the slideshow, this is another option that you have. Next, you have the zoom, where you can zoom in and out of the particular windows. This shows you the current view, and you can go through and change that view. And this last option is to fit the slide on the current view so it auto fits to that view. If you wish to make changes to this view, all you have to do is right click and you can turn on and off any of the particular functions. Now, when it comes to printer settings, you have a few different functions of what you're capable of making adjustments to. From here, you have two ways to get to the printer settings. One is to press Control P on the keyboard, or you can go to File and Print. And from here, you're able to see how it's going to print and all the adjustments you have. This is the button you go to print a page, how many copies you want. You can select the individual printer that you may have. You can go here to make the specific printer property adjustments. Here is where you go and adjust the settings for which slides you want to do. Do you have a certain selection? Do you want to print the current one that you're on? You can customize the range, or you can print all. You can also manually enter which slide numbers you want in here. This is the option, like you could see on the right. Do you want to show 6 slides horizontal, or do you want to make adjustments as you can see in that window? If you have a two-sided printer, you have the option here. In this particular case, it has the option to print on both sides, but on the particular printer that I have, that would be a manual function. This is the function if you want to collate, change the orientation of the printer, or do you want it to be a grayscale or color image. Please note that the majority of the color of the slides and backgrounds are disabled unless you specifically enable them in the PowerPoint options menu. This would be the section that I would call the fun part, is where you go to present the slideshow, and we'll be going over these particular items. So to work with the different functions of interacting with the slideshow itself, you go up to the top and select slideshow, and here's where you can go through all of the options. Please note that these options for captions and subtitles may or may not be available in your version of Office. So if you want to start the slideshow, this is where you go and make the adjustments. Whether you want to go from the very beginning, start from the current slide you're on. You can also change the option where you have the ability to present your slide online through Office 365. This is a function that is highly underutilized and depends on the size of your slide deck. If you have a presentation that may be like an hour or a half hour or longer, this is a useful function where you have the ability of adjusting which slides are shown and in what order. So you can use a slide deck that may potentially have over 100 slides, but make adjustments to show only half or less depending on your audience and time constraints. Also, when it comes to setup, this is where you go to set up the slideshow, where you make adjustments of how exactly it is going to be shown, the different options. Where if this is set up for a kiosk, it'll go through and automatically start. Once it ends, it goes right back to the very beginning. Will it advance slides manually, or will it use timings when present? And which slides do you want it to show unless you specifically state it? Another thing to pay attention to while you're here on the slideshow is at any time you can right click on a slide and select hide slide, and it will not show that slide during the presentations unless you specifically pick that slide, which I'll explain how to do later. Other thing you could do, and it's also in this option here. The other thing that you can do is you can rehearse the timing, so you get to practice how long the slides will take. And here is a function which I'll go through in a bit, where you can adjust and make you can save the narrations to the individual slides, which is how I did this video. You can have these particular options where you keep the slides updated, so it keeps things updated every time you make those adjustments. You can use the timings, show or not show media controls if you have videos, or you can play the narrations or not on the slides. Here's you select, if you have more than one monitor, you can select which slide is showing the presentation, and then you can show the presentation presenter view. And then you have the captions and subtitles. This is useful if you are showing the slides, and it has a few interesting functions. One, not only does it show the subtitles underneath the slides, but it also shows those subtitles in a different language as needed. So the spoken language as myself would be English United States, but then a subtitled language can then be any of the languages on the list here. And you can adjust which microphone it uses. You can also adjust where it shows those the subtitles. So I'll go ahead and leave the subtitles on in this particular case, and then I'll go through and show a few of the functions. When it comes to presenting the slides, the easiest way to get in here is F5, or you can go ahead and press start on the slideshow. So we are now at the beginning, and we're showing the slideshow, and now the captions are showing up on the bottom of the screen. When it comes to the slides, they will actually progress on the timings if they're already enabled. So in this particular case, some of the slides are enabled, but then you're able to make adjustments and push through a little faster as necessary to go from slide to slide. Now, another thing to pay attention here is there's a few different things to note, is that if you want to go through and change what slide number you're on currently, you can actually go ahead and press the number of the slide and then press enter. Doing so will automatically jump without having to slide through all and manually pressing left or right. Now, if you need to take a break and decide to black out the screen, all you have to do is select B and it can black out the screen. Or you can press white to white out the screen as necessary. Another thing that you can do is if you have to come back to this particular view and then you want to jump back in, but not from the beginning, you can hold down Shift and F5 to go to those slides, or you can go from current slide. Now, when it comes to recording slideshow information where it goes to where you can slide, you can go ahead and go to record and you come into this view in particular. This allows you to start the ability to record the narration, stop it, play it back to see how it sounds, and then you can make those adjustments. You can also highlight using these functions or erase them to show live highlighting of the pages. You have the function also to mute the microphone, enable or disable the webcam as necessary. You can also go up here and clear the particular recordings for the slide, and you can also go through and make adjustments. You can also show the notes that you were using for the slides, but please note that there is a slight delay in showing the notes as you go from slide to slide, and you cannot easily change the fonts for this. But all you can do is change the size of the notes on this screen. When it comes to the collaboration functions of Microsoft PowerPoint, there's a few different things that you can do. One is that you're able to share this on a document primarily through Microsoft OneDrive, but also you can do it via the standard method by emailing or advising somebody to go to a network folder and open that document. Now, once they have that document open, you can then highlight particular information that you may want to make a comment on. Go up here to click on comments so you can see what's going on. And then you can either click new here, or you can right click on particular items and be able to make new comments and state what your comments are. Where there's comments, delete this, have this bubble so you can then go and make those comments and read them. But then you're also able to delete it if necessary or add to it for the history. Please note that these comment bubbles are not shown during the slides and is only in this particular view. The other thing when it comes to collaboration or to sharing with others, as mentioned earlier, you have the capability of presenting this online to through a service through Microsoft. If you want to show the slide deck to a group of individuals, they would just have to go to the link to see those slides. The last thing we'll talk about is slide management, where you go add, remove, and modify the slides, and then we'll last cover how to organize the slides into groups. So to make adjustments to the amount of slides, you would do so on the left-hand side of this window. From here, you can see all the slides, but if you needed to add one in the middle, you could click in between and then select new slide or reuse slides. Or you can also do that up here at the top of the insert ribbon in PowerPoint. Or the other thing that you can do is if you want to, I wouldn't necessarily call it cheating, but you can click on a slide or two, highlight them, you copy them, and then you can also repaste them to reuse some of the functions. The other thing that you can do is you can individually click on the slides, and as we'll discuss in further weeks, this is where you can go and modify what is on the slides. And there's a lot of different things that you could insert and make adjustments to in the slides itself. The last thing that we'll cover is how to set up groups, which isn't necessarily uh, useful if it's a small slide deck, but if you have a slide deck with dozens, if not over 100 slides, it may be fruitful to have groups. The point of the group is, in this particular case, we have this section right here. So once you have the groups established, you're able to right click and hide them to minimize those groups so you don't have to necessarily see them and just have them out of the way so you can focus on the slides you need. If you want to go ahead and add a section to break it in half, again, you have to go right click in between a slide deck and go into add section. And here you can add the individual, you can name the section and save it, and it'll automatically be stored. So in conclusion, I give the following exercise for all users to do on their own. The goal is to create a slide presentation that will be used as a billboard in front of a business of your choosing to advertise pertinent information of your choice. Create this slide using a theme that you find most appropriate. Next, the slides should include at least 5 individual slides to include the introduction. Please utilize slide masters with the elements that you see fit, but play around with it so you see how it reacts on the actual slides that are being presented. Next, make sure that the slides are generated in a widescreen format, but in a portrait orientation instead of landscape. Adjust the layouts of the slides accordingly for the proper view of this information. Next, print these slides in PDF format. Good luck.